Well. Clearing my throat. Look who is here at the start of today's stream. What a fitting way to start our 20,000 plus photo edits. To have, of course, what other fitting way to also forget to turn on my cat cameras. There we go. Ho ho ho. So forget that the technical difficulties. Look who's joining the stream at the very start. As I was getting ready to start, you decided to hop over here and hang out with me. So feels good. And then separately, Nala is also here. Oh, look how adorable she is. Wow. Anyways, look at that. Making the biscuits. I think that's a good sign for today's stream. Howdy to Fedorevsky. Thanks for saying hi. Long time no see, I think. I think I have one of your videos. I believe, Fedorevsky, you posted a YouTube video recently. So I do have it lined up for today's viewing as we crack on with some photo edits. Happy Wednesday as well, guys. I hope everyone's having a good mid-break from the work week. Anything else to report? You know, I had a good stream. Oh yeah, I think I pinned it to the chats, but I will also be releasing my new YouTube video tonight at 10 p.m. I believe I said it so that if you are already subbed to me on YouTube, if you're a YouTube member, like a paid member or something like that. I could be wrong, but there's like a thing I wanted to try out where basically my upcoming YouTube videos, you guys can actually watch it first, and then it goes public to the broad World Wide Web. So hopefully you guys enjoy that as an extra perk for following me and supporting me on the YouTube side. We are streaming on YouTube, Twitch, and Kick as per usual. I saw also today is day 190 of my live streams. So even though technically it has been a full year since I turned on the live, stream for the first time, it is still only my 190th stream. So I was thinking maybe I should start preparing for when I reach 365, because then I can say like, oh, I did a proper, here's like a full year of streaming and what that means. We got Hello Photo saying, yo, I got a hella sick photo of Norway's fastest flying bird. What would be the fastest flying bird? Also, hello, Ellie, I think you said you go by Philip, or I forget, sorry, but regardless, good to see you on here again, Helly. We also got Fedorevsky in the chat over on the YouTube side. So he's one of the Norwegians that I mentioned was a part of the community. So somehow, some way, YouTube's algorithm has been finding you Norwegians to my stream. So I'll have to start speaking with the Norwegian accent. Maybe I'll start taking some lessons. Helly said, but Norway's fastest flying bird, I'm not sure what that would be. And when you say Norway's fastest flying bird, I'm always confused with a lot of migratory birds, because my assumption is like there's not one country can claim certain birds because they tend to fly, around the world, unlike, land animals. So I'm curious, is this truly a Norwegian bird? Are you guys staking a claim on this bird? Or is this stolen valor? We got Katzenell and Boggin in the chat. Says hello. Hello back at you, Katzenell and Boggin. I hope you're doing well. I think it's been a while since you did your wildlife safari trip. Yesterday, I forget who was in the chat. We reviewed some of the person's photos. Mute was in the chat. Mutie. So we got to review some of these wildlife safari in Masai Mara. So yeah, I think we're all in the mood for some freaking Jeep safaris. And technically, today's edits, we're going to be getting into a lot of Jeep safari photos. So wow, here we go. Ellie says, Philip, yes. Gotcha. I'll try to remember that. Hala Skara Bagera. It sounds like you're ordering something from Starbucks. Tis one of a mainly coastal bird. Okay. Should we Google this? We shall. Before we start Googling, as I'm just kind of warming up the voice and just kind of getting started, like I said, hello to my cats. Now, for those of you, I think on YouTube as well, YouTube, Twitch, there are emotes that I had gotten created of my cats. I just forget the freaking commands. It's been so long. But just know there are some emotes. Hold on. Actually, can I find them? Here, let me see if I can find them on YouTube. I just forget all my freaking commands. Oh, there we go. But then the problem is on the YouTube side, it's supposed to be GIFs. It's supposed to like do the animation, but I don't know if it works on YouTube, which is a bit unfortunate. I'm sure it's user error, so I gotta figure that out. And over on the Twitch side, there it's fine. Here, let's go ahead and pump in my beautiful cat emotes. Let's just throw them all in there. Boom, 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 boom. Look at these guys. Bangers. Oh, let's do the same thing, but with my other cat camera now. So everyone say hi to Kimpop. He's joined us after, I think it's been a full week since he showed his face on camera. Technically, he's showing his ass right now, but, you know, we take what we can. And then we've got Nala over here. Let me do the same thing. Hold on. Let's throw in all of my beautiful cat emotes. Oh, I have even more. Okay, boom. Hello, Nala. Wow, look at you. Also not showing her face, but, you know, what can you do? Philip says, I posted it, taken with a Sigma 150 to 600 millimeter lens. Ooh, that's a doozy of a lens. Let's see, you said you posted it. Ooh, okay. I see it now. Let's, can I copy image, open image link? There we go. Let us now share the screen so we can check this photo out together, shall we? Katzenellen Boggin says, I have so much on my plate, I've yet to finish my website. I still need to move the wildlife photos out of Lightroom. Ooh, that sounds like a big task. I found the lady and gave her the... Oh, nice. I found the lady and gave her the cards back. She was so happy. Well, good on you. Good job. We all applaud you, Katzenellen Boggin, for doing the right thing. You said, I have a track meet to cover on Saturday and I have exams in a month's time. You did the right thing. It's very laudable for you to have continued pursuing that, because a lot of people in your shoes may have decided, you know what, it's a 1 terabyte memory card. Those things are only getting more expensive. Perhaps I should use it for myself. But instead, you decided to be the honorable person and return it to the said lady. So congrats to you. It speaks more on you than on anything else. All right. Well, also good luck on all your tasks. It sounds like you got quite a bit on your plate for sure. This bird looks super fast. It definitely has, it kind of looks like a Batman, one of those little throwing, what does he throw? What do you call those? What does Batman throw? The Batarang. Got it. A bat-shaped handheld projectile. Kind of looks like maybe the Batarang was inspired by this. So it definitely looks like it's a super fast bird. What is Norway's fastest flying bird? Well, obviously it's flying, but... The peregrine falcon. Well, but... Norway can't claim the peregrine falcon. That's like a universal bird, you know? So I think that's not correct. Well, then again, Philip, you did mention, I think, the name of the bird. Halascara bagera. Man, your guys' language is it makes me laugh. Oh, no, that's not that. Halascara bagera. Wait, is this not the name of the bird? Is it just a slang? Oh, well, now I'm even more confused. And I just got rid of the photo. Oh my God. Okay, well, that photo looked amazing. 180 to 600, you got a clean shot. It's great that you got it also in focus. What camera were you shooting with? I always forget these things. Philip says, hang on, I got you. Oh, thanks. Okay. Well, in the meantime, guys, so again, thanks for tuning into today's stream. Today is technically going to be the first. Who knows how many days this is going to take, but this is going to be the first of many streams as we now proceed to edit my Tanzania photos. In preparation for that, let me just turn on this little fan here. so I can blow it in my face. Keep things cool, you know? All right, there we go. Ooh, that's bright. Check Discord. It's Sony A7 Mark III. Okay. Sony A7 Mark III. Gotcha. Well, congrats either way for getting a clean capture. What are we going to be capturing today? Well, so let's first start with a recap. So these are all the photos that we edited across, at this point, I want to say it was about 3 weeks. Let's just say 3 weeks. 3 weeks ago, I started to, was it 3 weeks? No, I'm making up stuff. Let's say 2 weeks ago, I started editing a lot of my top photos from Uganda. What I mentioned is we started with around 5,000 total photos that I had to review. Of the 5,000, we narrowed it down to a little over 1,000. And from that 1,000, we got it down to, let's call it about 150 photos. So these are what we would call the top photos, right? These are all the ones that throughout the past couple weeks of live streams, you got to witness, you got to be a part of this experience as we were learning how to edit, not just using my own presets within Lightroom and kind of doing whatever I could, but also bringing in these images into Dehancer and leveraging Dehancer services. By the way, I'm not getting paid by them to say this, although I do have an affiliate link, promo code, if you do !Dehancer. So in a ways, I guess I am, but they did not ask me to do this. I just really enjoy working with their product, and I do hope I can work with Dehancer in more of a deeper relationship. If I need to send them a note. Philip says this bird is an Arctic tern. Average speed, they typically cruise at a horizontal flight speed of 35 to 40 kilometers, 25 miles per hour. Gotcha. Top speed, they reach speeds of up to 40 miles per hour. That's crazy. I just know the peregrine falcon is supposed to be like the fastest flying bird, right? Congrats again that you capture something that's supposed to be super fast. They're built so lightly that they can easily glide on ocean winds, allowing them to eat and even sleep while gliding through the air. Just a fun fact. I'm quite jealous. That's kind of cool that you could just be like, hey, I'm going to take a nap. And when I wake up, I'll be in another country or another time zone. But yeah, thanks for sharing. So this is the shoebill stork. This was at the very start of my Uganda trip. It was about 9 days. Before my guests arrived, I had a day to myself where I shot some of these photos with the 400mm f2.8 lens and my Nikon ZR. So it was quite fun. Then this was the start of the second day when I was in Uganda, and the first day of the trip with my two guests. So she was shooting with my 400mm lens, which you can see her holding, and I was shooting mostly with the 70 to 200 f2.8 lens and I think an 85 lens. So yeah, we got to go through. I was editing a little bit of the behind the scenes of how I capture my guests out in the wild. Philip says, amazing you wanted to check out my photo. Well, of course, yeah. I mean, listen, I do these live streams to hopefully meet interesting people, build out a community of like-minded interests of, like, you know, whether it's photography, travel, wildlife, whatever it is. I appreciate anyone who decides to be a part of this live stream in the community. And as part of that, I do enjoy having conversations, whether it's you typing in the chat, whether it's you sharing your work and being able to critique it, or just kind of just have whatever conversations in the vein of animals, travel, you name it. I want to shoot that bird with a camera. It's a dinosaur. It is a dinosaur. No one can tell me otherwise. There's no other way to describe this thing other than it is a modern day, aka a living freaking dinosaur. When it stares at you like that, and actually, was there like a recent, I say recent, wasn't there some announcement by the scientific community a few years back saying that actually we believe dinosaurs actually weren't mammals, or they are basically like covered in feathers, right? Wasn't that like the more recent hypothesis, is that they weren't actually scaly like lizards and reptiles, but or furry? It was like, no, they're straight up birds. I don't know, I remember hearing that. So anyways, that will lean into my theory, fully unproven with no scientific reasons behind it, but my theory that this bird is just a a dinosaur that's living amongst us. But it is a fascinating animal for sure. So anyways, this was kind of fun because I was practicing shooting a bit of like different perspectives, including how do I shoot these interactive photos where you can have something intentionally blocking in the foreground, obviously still telling a story through the shape of it. So we know that this is an individual, and through, you know, shooting past her, we then have the focus way off in the distance, of course, in this case, to capture the shoebill stork. And yeah, I think this has definitely been a part of my own learning curve, my own development and knowledge of being a photographer. So I really am, I'm grateful I'm able to do these types of tours where I bring guests with me. And I'm also grateful because it allows me to change the purpose of why I'm taking a photo. So it's not always doing the same thing over and over and over again, which is like, oh, let me take a photo of the subject. Now I get to change who the subject is. I get to try different kinds of shots. So this has all been a really fun learning experience for me. And I think it does help, you know, level you up as a photographer. So yeah, I practiced during these trips to see better ways to take photos of my guests so that they can take this home or they can have something to remember the experience by. So yeah, this was an interesting one. I wonder if I can work on this style of photo in the future, because it just came to me in the moment. I was like, oh, could I try to shoot the subject through the opening that my guest was creating, just from the way he was shooting like a portrait photo of the bird. So this is my attempt at like trying to see if there's an interesting perspective here. So I might try that in future trips with other people. But yeah, and then here's another clean shot. The power of the 70-200. Philip says, did you know that they practice urohydrosis, meaning they poop directly on their own scaly legs to cool down in the hot African sun? Wow. I did not know that, but it's quite the visual. I'm trying to think. Usually you rarely see their legs because it's hidden by all the tall grass. But I have seen him. I'm trying to think, like, did I ever take a close look and see how shitty it looks? But well, thank you for sharing. So anyways, these are all photos that I took throughout the trip. So this is from the first few days with the shoebill. This is then when we took a flight to an area close to Kibale National Forest or Park. So here we were basically driving into chimp territory. So then I have a number of photos that I captured on the drive, including this baboon, which was really fun to do. I definitely was one of my favorites during the live streams to edit, because I did struggle quite a bit trying to figure out the right way to edit this photo. In fact, as we do this bit of recapping, I can show you guys what was that original photo. So this was the original photo, right? So I remember I stuck my half my body out the window and just like stuck the camera out to try to grab a quick shot. And unfortunately, you know, the sky behind it, you can see how overexposed it was. I was just trying to machine gun and get a shot as quickly as I could before the moment disappeared. Anyways, so when I was editing this one, I did struggle to figure out like, what the hell do I do with this, you know? And after a lot of work behind the scenes, you saw me struggle. I eventually ended up just doing this tight crop, you know? And thankfully the shot was focused enough, it was sharp enough that I could do this type of cropping and the focus still maintained on the eyes. And then of course, by the end of it, I went with the super kind of a dramatic look, darkened a lot of things, made it feel a bit wetter. You can see there's raindrops on the baboon already. So its skin or whatever was already, the coating was already damp. So I figured, let me just lean into it. So yeah, this one definitely turned into a more fascinating shot over time. Let me just kind of skip ahead here and then change this up. Okay, so anyways, we got some baboon shots. Then we got into some of the chimpanzee territory. So then I took some photos pointing up at the sky, and these turned out quite interesting. I wasn't expecting them to turn into anything, but you know, you win some. Hold on one second. Let's pop this open over here. There we go. So we then took some more photos of the chimpanzees. I'm working right now. I just recorded the voiceover for episode 4. You guys have currently seen episode 1 and 2 of this travel series on my YouTube channel. Episode 3, I hope, will be released within this week. And now I'm voicing over for episode 4, which will be the second chimpanzee trek. So basically the next few videos that I'll be releasing about this travel series will be focused on the chimpanzee treks. So I hope you guys enjoy that. Fedorevsky says, hey again, had to restart my broadband. I've been there, man. I've been there plenty of times. Hopefully you've fixed it correctly and all that fun stuff. But thanks for hopping back in. Fedorevsky, I was just saying, I don't know if you caught it or not, but we've got Heli Photo Co. in the YouTube chat, who is also Norwegian. So whatever's bringing you guys over to my channel, I accept. So hello to the Norwegian crew. I'm going to have to start learning some Norwegian words. I got the German Guten Abend. Now I need to know good evening in Norwegian. Wait, is that popular song Norwegian? Or is that German? Oh, I think it's German. Never mind. Fed says, yeah, I was getting 1/5 of the speed suddenly, back to normal again. Okay. All right, so these, let me just speed run through these chimp photos. So again, I'm just recapping all the photos that were edited from my Uganda trip since about 2 weeks ago when I started doing these on my live streams. And so, yeah, I mean, the chimps ended up being some of my favorite photos I've ever captured of any animal, really. Like, especially this type of shot right here. I'm super happy with it. I was testing a number of things on this shot. And yeah. So this one's definitely a hero image. Then we got some shots here of the head ranger. And then we drove to Bwindi, which is guerrilla territory. So then these are a number of shots that I took during the drive, which will also be showcased in my YouTube video. Let me speed run through these. The main highlight here is just, again, how friendly, especially all the children are. They recognize all of the tourist vehicles. Like when you see the, we're in this like 4x4 Land Cruiser. And so all the locals immediately know that this is a tourist vehicle. And there's a really healthy, in my opinion, what do I know? But I believe there's a really healthy relationship between the local communities throughout Uganda and tourism. And what I mean by that is sometimes you can see in certain countries, there's a level of like, they want to bring in tourists because obviously that's money coming into the country. However, that money doesn't always go back to the people of the country. There's sometimes corruption, sometimes like bureaucracy, you name it, right? And so sometimes you can be in a country where the people there's resentment being built up, right? Over this feeling of like, hey, we see these foreigners coming in, but we're not seeing our lives being improved. And it feels like, I don't know, invasion is too strong of a word, but this feeling of like you're intruding into my life and my life is not feeling any measurably better. I don't think Uganda has that kind of sense, or as what do I know? But from the 6 times or so that I've been there, it's always incredible to see like just on these drives, every kid, when they see your vehicle driving past, they're just like smiling, waving, practicing English at you, just being wacky. And I think it is it's good to see that. And from all accounts, it does feel like they have a system in place. Like, again, I can't speak to like how effective it is, or I'm sure there's always corruption anywhere, but it seems like they do have a system in place where all the money that's being earned for these tourism activities, from that pool of money, there's a system to bring that into the local communities where the community can actually vote on how that fund is being utilized to improve their lives. So anyways, kind of going on a random tangent here, but it's always good to see when there's a good balance and a healthy relationship between you as a guest, the land and the conservation efforts there, as well as the activities and the ability to explore the land. They are waivers over there. What is a waiver for what? So anyways, these are the final images on the drive of just whatever moments. Then we entered into the lodge. This is the view. It's beautiful. Bwindi is such an incredible place to visit. And then we edited the gorilla shots. So Again, I didn't have that much expectations on a number of the gorilla shots just because we were shooting in pretty harsh sunlight environment. I was a bit distracted throughout that day because of my neck injury, but it's always fun when you get to look at your shots in post. So while I was in Lightroom, some of these photos that I thought were probably like a 5 out of 10 or, you know, something like that, I was able to find something to make it better. At least, you know, it's a subjective thing, but for me, turning a 5 out of 10 image into at least like a 7.5 out of 10 or 8 or higher, right? So there were those moments. So these are some of those captures, and after putting it through the ringer, as we edited these extensively, especially the baby with the mother, trying to find different moments to capture when the kid was like hanging off the neck of the mom. And so, yeah, these are some of the best ones that I was able to work on. Then we have some just lounging, nice like crisp shot of the eyes that I didn't want to lose sight of. And then my guests again. This badass looking ranger here, just getting a random shot. Then we got some more of the silverback when he's yawning. Now the chimpanzee one was the best. This one I just didn't have the best angle to really capture the yawn properly. I think it would be nice if I could get a yawn at some point. I've gotten a few of the silverback, which I really like, but now I think I need a shot of a yawn straight on. You know what I mean? Like if I can get a symmetrical shot of a gorilla's face while it's yawning straight into the camera. That's probably next on my to-do list of like, what can I look for? Oh, Fedorevsky, you said the kids were all waving at you when you drove by. They are wavers over there. I see. Listen, my brain only operates in like one gear. So when I hear the word waiver, I think of like waiver with W-A-I-V-E-R, which is like a, you know, it's like when people sign waivers to release like, you know, rights to something. I never heard the term waiver as like someone who waves. No, I guess that's not an American. We don't really say waiver. Anyways, I get what you're saying now. Gotcha. They are waivers over there. Yeah, they're waivers and runners. They like to run alongside and wave at you. This photo right here was definitely one of my favorites as well. The eyes aren't even in focus. Like the thing that's focused is like a little bit on the nose / like upper lip area. But the kind of abstract nature of the shot ended up kind of really selling it to me. So this one we edited. Then we had some baby gorillas. And probably the best photo, I say the best photo, but maybe my okay, I won't say my favorite photo from the trip, but it's definitely top 3 or top 5. Definitely top 5, probably top 3. Which is this photo right here, this baby gorilla. And not for any like particular reason, you know, it's not like the gorilla, this baby is striking a specific pose or doing some award-winning, you know, whatever the heck, right? But I think just because of the way that I edited the shot, yeah, and just the way it looks in the center here. And again, it's not even like perfectly captured. Like if you look at behind the baby, you can see there are areas which is like overexposed. Like this is just pure white. There's nothing I can do about that at this point. So it wasn't like my best effort at taking the photo either. However, it just ends up looking super clean to me. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to put into words, but this is definitely one of my favorite photos I took from the trip. So I'm kind of glad that this is it didn't like cap off the entire trip, but it is the final wildlife photo, I think, of my series. So yeah, we got different versions of it. Then the other day we edited some portraits of this little girl after the gorilla trek. And then thankfully we were able to salvage this landscape shot, which was shot in the final sunrise in Bwindi as we were driving back to the airstrip so that I could fly back to Entebbe, the main city. So yeah, you know, it gives me a bit of nostalgia whenever I see things like this, but it is such a beautiful part of the world. And it definitely brings me joy when other people can join me and then you see them like soak this in, you know, like, holy crap. So yeah, you know, all you Ugandans, you are very lucky to have such a beautiful country. It is insane. Like, talk about a single country with everything you could ask for when you think of like nature stuff. You got the craziest wildlife. You got lions, leopards, rhinos. They used to have cheetahs. I think it's being reintroduced. Then you've got the primates, you got exotic birds, and then lush scenery. You basically anything, any crop can be grown here. It feels like they just grow everything. So it's just like, yeah, anyways. Fed says that's something else. Yeah, it is. It really was. So imagine living here. You get to have this as your view every day. You know, it's like, it's such a cool thought to have. But anyways, so then we did the drive back. Here's some of the final shots. These are the ones I think I edited yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. So these are just final captures on the drive to the airstrip. Doing some, as we call them, casual drive-by shooting. But yeah, I do love doing these drive-by shootings. You know, it feels weird to say it that way, but it's also kind of funny. And then yeah, I think I really ended up enjoying the editing direction on a number of these shots, including this one, just in terms of like making it very misty, in terms of the vibes, light shining through on the top left, and then a couple different angles of the capture. And then this is the final one, just an overhead shot. I don't know if it's my best work. I know it's not my best work, but it was just like a random landscape shot from the bush plane heading back. And thank you guys. That is it. That's a wrap. That is all the top photos from my recent Uganda photo trip. Now what? Well. Now we've got 20,000 photos from Tanzania that I need to start putting together. So what do I mean by putting it together? Well, in the same way, before we start editing today, I need to create a folder to start dragging in some of the best photos for review, if that makes sense. So for example, all the photos, I dragged it into this thing here in this collection. So let me create a new collection. I think it's all part of this travel. Yeah, whoops, not this one. This one. So let's create what? Yeah, let's create a collection. 2026. What day was this? This was 2026 April. Okay, so let me put just in case, let me create a set. 2026-04 Tanzania. Okay. And then within this, we're going to create a collection called what? Top photo to review. Okay. All right. So now we're just going to start putting together the pieces here. Tanzania, day 1. So you can see here, I'm just kind of speed running so you guys get a sense. We've got, here, let me make the thumbnails a bit bigger. We're going to have a lot of wildlife shots for sure. Some good ones, some maybe not so good, some in between. Who knows, right? You be the judge, but we'll get various moments. I'm very excited to kind of walk these through with you guys. So as we go through and edit some of these, I'll obviously share a bit of the behind the scenes. Now, some of these photos also I've already edited. It's just because I sent a lot of these as assets to the company, Asilia. But now that I'm re-editing with Dehancer, or sorry, now that I'm using Dehancer as part of my editing workflow, even the ones that I'd finalized, I probably will go back and edit some more. So even this example here, right? So this is a photo that I'd already edited, but now I'm curious, like, what would it look like if I go back and put it through Dehancer? So you get the point, guys. I got plenty of photos, so we're going to start going through them now. While I do that, let's go ahead and start watching some YouTube videos. Now, I know Fedorevsky, I thought I had one of your videos loaded up. Let's see if I can find it. There it is. The Wastelands Mark II from our boy Fedorevsky. So shout out to Fed. Shot with the Nikon ZR, I believe. Let's see. Oh, you got some caption here. You said the area between the Pigeon Racing Club and the famous Blue Lake. Famous Blue Lake. Let me widen this. Oh, it didn't do anything. Famous Blue Lake is one of the quieter and more open parts of Torre Vieja. Away from the busy coastal areas, the landscape changes into a mixture of low development, scrubland, dirt tracks. Gotcha, gotcha. Interesting. All right. All right, so let's go ahead and put this on off to the side, and we're going to start grinding away. Here we go. This is quite different. I like this, Fed. Different vibes. So we went from the city vibes and now we're going out. Now we get to see what it's like for you when you're doing a travel vlog, yeah? Interesting. Oh, that's like Stranger Things vibes, yeah? The Wastelands Mark II. Also, let me know if the volume is too loud or anything. I think there's some issues with my sound stuff recently. Are those spider webs? What is that? Don't tell me those are all spider webs. That's if so, that's insane. Just a quick little FYI. So then, right now, obviously, we're not shooting wildlife. So this is just on the same thing. So one of the things I mentioned is that as I was doing my recent trips, thanks in large part to this guy right here, having this little Osmo Nano pocket style camera that I could just hook up to my hat, I was able to start recording a lot more behind the scenes moments, which works out nicely from a storytelling perspective. So then basically now it's like when I'm on the long drives to get to the wildlife, like whatever, the national parks, I'm able to quickly turn on the camera, record the scene as I'm taking a photo. So now I'm able to hopefully share that with you guys in a way that's a bit more interesting, hopefully. So for example here, let me see if I can find the clips. Fed says it's some sort of protection. I think they're letting school kids grow trees here. Okay. I was going to say, man, if those are all spider webs, Jesus. Okay, so I'm just looking through some of the Osmo Nano footage that I captured. So now it's like I turn this on when I'm at the airport. I usually just have this as on my chest. Like I use one of those magnetic necklaces, so then I can be a bit more what's the word, discreet when I'm filming, as opposed to just having something like that. So then this way it helps me so that I can capture, it's like whenever you're making YouTube videos, you want to have certain moments like this as like the transition moments, or like the, you know, you're building up context. It's like building those quote unquote establishing shots. So oftentimes if I'm starting a YouTube video where I'm landing in a country, I want, even just for a few seconds, I usually want to have some clips like this that can play. And while it's playing, I can just voice over like, hey guys, here's what's going on. Here's what to expect, blah, blah, blah. So then it grounds you into what's about to happen. And then I can go into the other parts of the story. So, I mean, I'm not saying anything new. This is just like, if you look at any YouTuber who's doing like these kind of vlogs, you know, capturing these kind of moments is very important. Shout out to Pidgeotech. You can see here, I recorded a bunch of times just to show that my bag fits inside the overhead compartment, because that was one concern I had, was the size of the bag. I was wondering, like, would it ever be an issue in terms of fitting? Because I had one person at one of the airports during the 2 months of travel who kind of made a fuss about my bag, saying like, oh, that's not small enough to fit an overhead. I was like, yes, I swear it's fine. And I had to do a little bit of, you know, eventually it worked, but. So then this is landing from, I forget the name of the place, but this is Tanzania. And eventually I came here. I think at some point you're not allowed to film, probably around here. Yeah. Met my dude. Oh, what's his name? Amin? Oh, shoot. I forgot his name. I mean, he tells it. Okay, you know what? Maybe.
What was your name again?
Amani. Oh. Ah, I was close. Amani. Fed says it does look like spider webs on a distance like that. Some sort of invasion of the killer spiders. Yeah, it's a little crazy. So this is Amani. I met him last time. He was my driver last time to get to the park when I did the training a year prior to this. So anyways, you get the point. I got to like record a bunch of these like behind the scenes moments. It just like adds to the storytelling capabilities so much, which is great. I did a bit of a selfie recording. What else? Oh yeah, so here we go. This is the moment I wanted to show you guys. So now, for the most part, it seems I should have a behind the scenes footage of every key photo that I took, hopefully. And that will help with the storytelling. So you can see here. So you can literally see how did I take the photo. So I'll just, whichever photo ends up making the cut. So once I find the exact one that's like, okay, we've edited it and it looks really nice. Maybe it's like, let's say it's this shot right here and you see the shutter go off. So then right after I show that, then I will flip over to that precise photo, right? So then you can see literally, this is the shot that came from it. And then obviously once I put it through the edits, we get the final version. So you guys kind of get to see the full story, right? You get to see literally the moment when the moment happened. Then you get to see how the moment became the moment in the sense of like my editing process during the live streams. And then you actually see the final moment, if that makes sense. A lot of moments. Okay. Anyways, point is a lot of photos to go through. Okay, let's keep watching this video and review. I'm very excited to edit this photo here. I ended up using, so like you'll see in my opening intro for my YouTube videos about the series, in the opening trailer, I think I usually start with, or I definitely show a moment from the video capture of this lady on the back of the bike. It just looked very aesthetically, I guess, nice. Like, you know, just empty road, this lady with the colorful dress on the back of this bike, greenery in the distance. There was a lot of clouds, so it wasn't like harsh lighting. So Yeah, anyways, this is one of the photos, and then, you know, as it goes by. But I remember I took some footage of it. I wonder if I should have it here. Let's see. Let's see. Those are... Oh, here it is. So I wonder, did I take the photo first or the video first? Looks like I took the photos first. But I know I have some video moments, I wonder. There it is. And there we go. That's the full moment. So anyways, obviously you'll be able to see the video moment of that. And then these are like the actual photo moments. Yo, we got Shantanu in the chat. Shantanu says, hello. Hello back at you. My cats also say hello. Hold on. It's literally been so long since Kimbap decided to join me on the stream. So let me distract him briefly. What's going on, buddy? So Kimbap says hi. Look at that pretty face. What a handsome lad. I put him on a diet, so he has lost quite a bit of weight. But man, this guy loves food more than anything in the world. And then we got Nala hanging out over there. So full house today. Full house. Shantanu, hope all is well with you. We're just, I'm just now starting to kind of walk through which photos to start editing. So we're not... I doubt that we're actually going to get any photos edited today, just because I've got 20,000 photos to review. So it's going to take some time. So right now, I just want to kind of work through all the images. You're going to see me like, you know, 3-star some of the photos. And so for me, the workflow that I have, usually I think I 2-star. So generally speaking, I 2-star my images first for the ones that I think are worth looking at again. Then once I've gone through all the photos, I filter for the 2 stars, and then I take all those photos and I put a bit of denoise effect on it. So I just use the built-in Lightroom denoise, or sometimes that super resolution. So then that just kind of does like a nice little wash over all the photos. And then I 3-star those. Then I bring it into somewhere else to edit to eventually become a 5-star image. So yeah, anyways. Look at this guy. Look at that pretty face. Shot on Nikon Z9 with a 35mm f1.2 lens. Boom. There's my promo. Nikon, pay me. Look at him. Okay. In the meantime, let's go ahead and keep watching this now. We took a nice little break. He is so satisfied. No, he's never satisfied. The funny thing is he enjoys when I pet him or scratch him, but then immediately after, you were seeing him just do it just now, right? He's such a freaking germaphobe. So the moment I'm finished, he's like, all right, I appreciate it, but now I got to clean your freaking stench off of me. And so then he spends all that time just doing the cleanup work, which is good. I'm glad he's a clean freak. All right, anyways. All right, let's keep going. And right now we're watching, we've got a bunch of videos lined up, but the first one here is from Fedorevsky. So shout out to Fedorevsky over on YouTube. Check out his YouTube channel. So he shoots a lot of footage from his travels with the beautiful Nikon ZR. So shooting with the right gear. Maybe this photo. Not sure yet. Me too, starting. Soundtrack vibes is giving me the Odyssey right now. Ooh, this is going to be a good one. Shantanu says, I haven't watched the Odyssey with the sad emoji. That is fine. It will stay for a while, right? If you could watch it in IMAX, definitely worth it. You know, just for the spectacle. I mean, it was shot for IMAX, so it's like if you can watch it at its, you know, finest, why not? But it's also not a... I think the hype is a little bit overhyped to always feel like you have to watch it on that big screen or whatever. It's like you can always watch it in an IMAX format at home, you know? But, you know, I'm saying this to say, like, you know, it is really amazing to watch it in the big screen. But, yeah, I'm sure you'll watch it at some point. Really good movie. I really, really enjoyed it. I'm going to be more excited, though, for Dune 3. When Dune Part 3 comes out, oh my God. That's going to be worth every freaking penny. Quick pause, though. This image right here, very, very excited to edit. It really doesn't need much editing at all, but we got this really nice shot of this lady. If I could do this over again, maybe I would have tried shooting at a higher aperture to get both of them in focus, but I'm also not that bothered by it. You know, you get one shot, you get one perspective, and the thing about this one is this lady right here is the main character. You know what I mean? Just the pose, the way she looks, I don't know, but to me, she kind of strikes me as the big boss. So yeah, I'm glad I was able to capture this moment briefly. And thankfully, she's pretty much in focus, I think. You know, I'm sure it's going to be slightly blurry because we're just doing this, you know, drive-by shot. But as far as I can tell, it is passably sharp. So I think we got two images. Oh yeah, here's the second image I got. So image 1, image 2. Both of them, I think, are very interesting to me. So I'm actually very excited to edit these ones. We'll see what we can make out of it. But yeah, I'll probably do a cropping like this maybe at some point. So anyways, we'll get to that later. And then this shot was also interesting, because now you're getting a very, very unique, you know, you don't see this in, you know, where I'm from in the States, you never see anything like this. So this is like kind of just some of the fun parts of traveling sometimes. But yeah, probably not the safest. And you can see the dude in the back is taking a selfie, which is just perfect. Anyways. So we got those bookmarks. Let's keep looking. And this one definitely is going to be good. This is like the minibus in Tanzania. Yo, we got Paul in the chat. Paul says, hey, buddy, great to be here again. Ready for the Tanzania episodes. Yes, well, thank you very much. I appreciate you being here yet again. Thanks for being a part of the community. Paul says, love her Gucci Kitenge. Oh, is this also called the Kitenge? Is Kitenge just like an East African? Is that like a Swahili word or something? I don't know. The Gucci Kitenge. See, she has some style, you know what I mean? And the pose, at least here, the way it's captured, it just, she's striking such a, maybe it's just the way she's walking, definitely her outfit. To me, she just looks like a boss. She looks like someone who needs to be photographed. So she definitely, I think it's her posture as well, maybe. She just like is standing tall, has a look on her face that just feels like a commands presence. I'm making up all this, by the way. Obviously, we don't actually know who she is, what she's like, but that's the emotion that I'm feeling, the thought process I'm having when I see this still frame. So definitely going to be fun to kind of work through this one. We got Daytor in the chat saying hello and good evening. Guten Abend, Daytor. Thanks for being here. I hope you're having a wonderful Wednesday. I am finally finished with my Uganda photos. So now we're just kind of doing the review process for Tanzania. I have about 20,000 photos from Tanzania to review. So I was saying that most likely I'm not actually going to end up editing any of the photos today. But yeah, we're doing the important step of reviewing and organizing and all that. So thanks for being here. The minibus. Even this is going to be a fun image because like it's like a very clean shot, you know. It doesn't look overexposed here. We've got a decent histogram, got a decent texture to the sky. There's no other vehicles nearby, so really this minibus is commanding the scene, and it's so colorful, right? So we got some interesting text on the backside. We got all these interesting coloring. And I know the minibus is a very, I don't know if symbolic is too strong of a word, but from my understanding of like, not just East Africa, but in general, like it's an African concept of having these like mini buses. I remember one of the terms I learned was like matatu is like, I think maybe that's like the Swahili word, but then like a bunch of countries have different names for these minibus. And a lot of the countries, the minibus has a lot of personality, which I think is super fascinating. So even here you can see, and this is like, it's not even like a mini bus, or I guess this is actually a proper minibus, but sometimes you see, what's the opposite of a minibus? A major bus? Sometimes you'll see a little bit larger buses and all of them are decorated up the wazoo, right? There's no, it's like, it looks like everything has something painted over it or something slapped on there. And so over time, these buses take on a life of its own. And I remember when I spoke to some locals in the past, when I was doing some research on this or just like for other reasons, they were saying some locals they choose which of these buses to take them to wherever, you know what I mean? Like it's got such a branding now and such a personality. People will choose the specific bus that they like to be picked up in. Something to that effect, where I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. It's like, you know, you pick favorites now. So instead of taking the so-and-so bus to work, I'm going to take this guy's bus because, you know, it's whatever. So anyways, I'm sure I'm kind of half remembering things or I'm maybe saying things incorrectly. But the point is these minibuses are a big part of like the culture. There's a cultural element to it that doesn't exist in other parts of the world. So yeah, and it's not just a bus. That's the main thing. It is more than a bus. It's more than a transportation service. Oh, you know what? There was a show called Sense8. I feel like, because I think I watched this before I did these types of travels, but I think in the show Sense8, one of the characters was a bus driver, like a minibus guy, right? Am I making this up? Was one of the characters in Africa as a minibus driver? Fed says the opposite of a minibus is a bus. I feel like they need a word for, what is the opposite of mini, I guess is the word I was looking to say. What is the opposite of mini? I mean, obviously large, but like there must be a one with the M. Macro? No, macro is micro. Mini. Okay, hold on. Let's try to figure this out. If macro, as macro is to micro, what is X to mini? As macro is to micro, maxi is to mini. Oh, right. Because the women have the maxi pads, right? Okay, so you would say micro. Okay, so a maxi bus. That's what I want. Okay, so yeah. You've got some of these mini buses, and sometimes you get the maxi bus. I like it. A big taxi is a maxi taxi. Oh, you guys actually use that word? Oh, man. I thought I was making it up. All right, I guess I'm not that special. Shantanu says, I was editing a picture of clouds. What would you suggest for the hue, cold or warm? I prefer cold. So I mentioned this on stream earlier, Shantanu. Not today, but like I've been trending towards like cool tones across my images. So in the past, I used to always do, not always, but I usually prefer like a warmer tone, like something that mimics like sunset, you know, golden hour vibes. But unless it is golden hour, I think I've been leaning more towards like a cooler tone. But it also depends on where you are in the world, right? So for me, here I am in Tanzania, or when I was in Uganda, there's a lot of greenery. And so I've found that having a cooler tone just makes everything feel more rich, more lush. Versus when I do the warmer tones, it can make things feel more like Lion King, where it's like dry and dead, for lack of a better term. So yeah, it just depends on the mood. But a maxi taxi is basically a minibus. So the way I view it, oh yeah, because technically taxi, you think of like a 4-door sedan. So yeah, it goes taxi to maxi to minibus to maxi bus to charter, no, then to bus, then to charter bus. Is that how it goes? That's how I'm gonna treat it. But okay, anyways. What was I looking up? Oh yeah, sorry. ADHD. Sensei, Kafias Onyango is the character in this Netflix series Sensei who drives a colorful matatu. Yeah, there it is. They call it that. Yeah, in Nairobi, Kenya. He nicknames his bus the Van Dam. Oh yeah, I'm remembering the storyline now. Because it was like his favorite, he grew up with Claude, is this guy's name Claude? Oh, there it is. Action star Jean-Claude Van Damme. The Van Damme. I thought that was so cool. I didn't know this history when I watched it. So like at the time when I was watching Sense8 and they were explaining all this, it didn't mean anything to me. I was like, okay, here's some interesting backstory. Dude is a bus driver, has a colorful bus. Then I visited Kenya, I visited parts of Africa, and then I was learning more about the concept of a minibus and how important it is and how actually colorful the concept is. And so if I had known that and then watched Sense8, I feel like I would have appreciated so much more. But anyways, yeah, so that's cool. The Van Damme. All right. Story time over, history over. Double-decker bus, yeah. That's right, the double-decker bus. That comes at the end. All right. Interesting. I'm looking at this photo, and for some reason, I'm actually finding this photo to be quite interesting. I skipped it before, but pausing here this time, this actually could be an image that when we work on it, we could turn this into something worth keeping. And the assumption is definitely maybe like a wide angle shot. But I don't know, there's like enough, it almost feels like a painting, if you guys are following me. There's just like something going on in a number of locations here that feels like it could be literally just like a painting story. So it's like, oh, there's a story over here, then there's a story of the kids over there, then you got the story of this vehicle with all the people on the top of it coming forward, then you've got something off in the distance here, you've got this like, you know, very textured clouds up in the sky. Yeah, I don't know why, but this is giving me like a painting vibe. So we will want to keep one of these. I'll save this one for now, but there might be a better one coming forward. Fed says his real name is actually Jean-Claude Camille Francois Van Varenberg. Jeez. I guess Jean-Claude Van Damme was easier to fit on. Where did the dam come from? I never understand freaking actors, man. Why do... It's like feels like every freaking actor changed their name legally. And, you know, in some ways I get it. Other ways, it feels like you're cheating on me as, you know, as the viewer. It's like your name was really this, but you changed it just so you could fit into, like, you know, so that people would remember you better. And I know musicians do it too and stuff, but I don't know. I don't know how to feel about that. Anyways. I like the soundtrack. All right, good news. I did get some close-up shots of this. I mean, this is clearly the main character here, right? Look at this. I don't know what you call this. Truck. Also very colorful. I wonder if it's acting as like a minibus as well, but so let's see. I think it looks like I did save one of these images coming up. So yeah, so this one right here. I'm assuming I might have put it through the denoise already. Let's see. Made in Italy. Okay. All right, so these are the best two images I have when it got a bit close. Neither are like super sharp, but it's passable. And then here is when it was already passed. So, yeah. I might save a few more just in case. Fed says it's often the managers who get them to change their names. Yeah, I gotcha. But it's your name. Yeah. Man, we got some really good leading lines here. Unfortunately, none of these are in focus. It looks like I did bookmark a photo coming up, so hopefully one of these is sharp enough. But look at this, you know, because we were up on a hill, but you've got all of this curved lines coming through here, all the way to the edge here. So there's something interesting here potentially if I get the focus locked in. Let's see. Blurry, unfortunately blurry. Now it's oh, see, then okay, then by the time, so this is the one I bookmarked here, that it was a bit sharper. Still a bit blurry at the same time, but close enough. But we do lose all of that leading line from before. This one also tells a story, but it's pretty out of focus. Dang it. Missed opportunities. I think I will still bookmark this one in case once we put it through our edits, maybe the blurriness is not noticeable or it doesn't matter. Let me see. One of these images, though, I might want to bookmark because, again, I can't get over the fact that it could be an interesting composition once we crop in and just like maintain this line. I could be wrong. Fed says Nick Cage is actually Nicholas Coppola. Wait, Coppola. Wait, is he related to the dude? I'm sure you're going to say. So he changed his name to make it on his own and not on his famous family. Ah, so he is related. His uncle is legendary director Francis Ford Coppola. That's a good reason. Actually, that is definitely a good reason. Yeah, I don't blame someone. Let's say if you are born to a famous family or whatever it is, you don't want your success to be always tarnished or questioned with like, was that truly something you did on your own, or was that really just because you had a leg up? No matter what, he had a leg up, right? He was born into, I'm sure he was born into wealth and privilege and all that fun stuff, but you know, it's you can't blame someone for how you were born. I do kind of respect that then, that he was like, look, I want to do this my way. And he obviously succeeded. I love watching Nicolas Cage. He's one of the original, I feel like he's one of the OG quirky guys who just like kind of said, I'm doing it my way. Paul says, matatus, trucks, and other forms of transportation often reflect the owner's personality. Home, basically world. Yeah, I think that's what was described to me as well at the time. And it's so obvious. It's so noticeable, right? When you see some of the fanciest matatus, and I say fancy, but I'm like, you know, it just got such personality built into it. And it's like, dang, it's like a brand, you know? You can be famous for just your brand. So, I don't know. I really like that a lot. Unfortunately, all blurry. All right, we'll see which one of these we can work with. Missed focus on all of these. All these kids, the kids' looks on their faces, they're all just like, who the hell is this guy? Unfortunately, all of this is blurry, so I'll probably skip this one. Fed says, Stephen King's son, Joe Hill, who is also Joe Hill. Wait, is he a fantasy writer? Hold on, Joe Hill. Why is that ringing a bell right now? The word that keeps coming to my mind is Abercrombie and Fitch. I don't know why. I think I'm mixing up a few authors. There's a fantasy author. I think his name is like Amber Crombie, or I don't know. Hold on. I need to look this up. Abercrombie and Fitch. Let's see. Joe Hill author. Nosferatu? Wait, hold on. The Fireman. Wait, I think I read this guy's books. Hold the phone. I think I might have read at least one of his books. The Fireman. This is like ringing such a long... there's like a huge alarm bell going off in my mind. Nosferatu... King Sorrow. Oh, interesting. He did Lock and Key. I've never read or watched it, but I know of it. King Sorrow. Ray Bradbury. I know that author. Okay, so then let me just double check if this is the book I read. I'm pretty sure I did read this. The novel, it's his fourth, tells the tale of a deadly spore that has infected most of the world's population. Mysterious fungus has begun to infect the world's population, causing a condition popularly known as dragon scale. Okay. Yeah. Okay, I think I did read this. Anyways, okay, so that's cool. Thanks for sharing that, bit of knowledge, Fed. But it's not the author I was originally thinking of. Who was I thinking of? Like fantasy writer with a name like Joe A. Abercrombie. Wait, is this the guy's name? Abercrombie? Or am I just making it up now? Joe Abercrombie. Fantasy author Joe Abercrombie. Give me the books. Yeah. Okay. I did read his the First Law trilogy. The Blade Itself, Before They Are Hanged, and Last Argument of Kings. Really good. I really enjoyed reading that, actually. Man, I do miss reading books. I've just been, unfortunately, it's like, as I've been pursuing what I've been pursuing, I run out of time to do anything else. Fed says he wrote the comic book series Lock and Key as well. That's fantasy. Gotcha. Yeah, I haven't seen that part, though. Okay. Thank you. You know, one thing Fez says, yeah, Joe Abercrombie, he's not Stephen King's son. Yeah, gotcha. Well, now I'm wondering if Joe Abercrombie is related to Abercrombie and Fitch. I should have Googled that. Hold on. I should, yeah, it's like, that's the obvious next question. Okay. Is Joe Abercrombie related to Abercrombie and Fitch? No, he's not related to the clothing brand. Brand is named after his co-founders, David T. Abercrombie and Ezra Fitch. But the name Abercrombie sounds so unique. There can't be that many people named that, right? Okay, they just share a name. Gotcha. Okay, so this is when we were driving in. So basically, I met up with, what happened? So Amani drove me to this meeting point, which is where I paused to take the photo of the meat, the butcher shop and some kids there. So then I met up with the rest of the group that was heading into the national park. And so from there, I switched gears. I got my big camera ready. So then technically this wasn't meant to be like a proper game drive, but since we're driving into the camp, you're going to spot animals on the way. So it ends up becoming like an extra game drive, you know, but I'm not necessarily prepared for it. It's not like I have all my gear ready to go. It's just, you know, at least getting my 400 lens prepared so that I can capture some moments. So on the drive to the camp, we did at least get to see some giraffes, it sounds like, or it seems like. With giraffes, as I'm learning how to photograph all these different animals, I feel like giraffes, it's really fun because there's so many different angles that could work and a lot that could also not work. It's just like such a awkward shaped animal, super tall, very goofy looking if you think about it. But then, yeah, so I think this is in many respects kind of an ideal posture when the giraffe is just standing straight, almost like in a vertical straight line. And for the most part, like here, it looks fairly symmetrical. These are always nice. Now, unfortunately, the background is not really doing much. If it's on this dirt path, ideally, it would be standing either right in the middle or there'd be something more unique on the left or right side. Right now, it's just kind of a whatever positioning. And then behind the giraffe also is not necessarily the prettiest. One, it's a bit, I don't know what time this capture was taken. I don't know how accurate the information would be. Right? Yeah, I don't think the information is accurate because this is like almost 5 p.m. But the point is, lighting is not necessarily the cleanest. It's a bit bright. And yeah, just not anything much going on back there. But the pose itself, I'm like, okay, I wouldn't mind this type of pose more often with giraffes. All right, I'm just going to keep looking though. And one thing people are always surprised by is like giraffes, what other animals? But at the very least, giraffes have very, they've got black colored tongues. You just don't expect it, right? But like they've got black tongues. I forget when I first noticed that, but yeah. Fett says when Joe Hill was a child, he played the child in Creepshow who orders a voodoo doll in the Creepshow magazine. Never seen the movie. To get back on his mean dad who won't let him read horror magazines. Stephen King wrote the script for the movie. Interesting. I do enjoy those kinds of moments if it's like based on some kind of inside joke or whatever tidbit of knowledge. Now, this is also an interesting trip for me because one, it had been a while since I did like a proper Jeep safari. Now, I was in the off season, so it was like a very low probability that we would get really good sightings. So the point wasn't necessarily for me to get the best captures. It was like just to use the off season to teach the guides how to take photographs. So I kind of knew going in that the chances of seeing like some epic whatever hunts and stuff is probably very, very slim. So I had low expectations. And then two, I also, oh yeah, this is the first time I was shooting with the Nikon ZR for this type of environment. So I was curious if the ZR would be powerful enough when it comes to photography to get these proper wildlife shots. Because generally speaking, when you think of wildlife, sometimes you're restricted by how close you can be, like the proximity of you to the subject. Because you're on these roads, and generally speaking, you can't really go off-road. It's circumstance. It depends on where you are and for your drives. So then the animal might be super far away. And so what helps with that is when you shoot with a high megapixel camera. So people who shoot with, let's say, a 50 megapixel camera, 40 megapixel, because then that allows you to be able to punch in. You can like crop in on your image and still maintain enough resolution that you can blow it up on a big screen and it looks very, very sharp. However, in my circumstance, I was shooting with the ZR which has 24 megapixel, give or take. So, which is good. It works really well. But I was used to shooting with my Z9, which I think is like 45 megapixels, something like that. And so it's like you are limiting yourself in certain regards when it comes to taking some photos, in terms of how much you can crop in, how much maybe the subject will be sharp enough as you zoom in on the subject. So anyways, that was like one question I had going into this. Yeah, that was like the main thing I want to say. And then, yeah, I was a bit rusty. So especially on this drive-in, I wasn't really aiming to try to get the best captures. I just was firing off the camera to make sure I remember what it's like to take photos in a Jeep. So most of these are just kind of whatever shots. Fed says it's an anthology movie, and Stephen King also acts in the movie. He's the lead actor in the second segment. Ooh, I do like anthologies. I didn't know he acted as well. That's interesting. All right, next day. So this day I took 1,000 photos. And so what I might do, I'm not sure yet, but basically I've got my photos and then I've got the photos that the guides took. So I do obviously want to review all of them and edit all the best shots. But all right, let's start with mine. Yo, this is a very Fed. I really like this walk right here, or the shot of this when you're walking through the forest here. It looks really nice. Did my screen freeze? Yeah, good, great job on the color grading here. I like it a lot. Always got cats. All right, well, thank you very much, Fed. Good job on that one. Fed is a darkly comedic role, very black comedy about Geordie King, who finds a Geordie, who's played by King, who finds a meteorite that falls down near his secluded house and takes it home, and weird stuff starts happening. Gotcha, gotcha. Gotcha, gotcha.
All right, so check it out. You're currently...
All right, what should we check out? We got a video from Potato Jet about the new Insta360 X6 10-bit log with new Sony sensor. Let's watch this. I'm always curious. One thing I need to do more and more is stay up to date with a bunch of these camera stuff, because I'm very bad at knowing I'm not in the know. But Potato Jet is. Let's check it out.
All right, so check it out. You're currently looking at footage from Insta360's new X6, which now has 10-bit log. Woo! I almost crashed there. Let me try that again. 10-bit log and a new Sony design sensor, 1/1.1 inch. Let's get into it.
10-bit log. Interesting. But I mean, I've got the Osmo 360, and that one already has 10-bit log. So I'm curious if this is considered an upgrade to the latest Osmo 360, or if this is actually blowing it out of the water in some ways.
Camera decided to come drifting with you. Look at that. Oh my God.
Johnny, you owe me a new camera.
Oh God.
Just kidding, we actually did this on purpose to demonstrate the replaceable lenses, and after a quick swap, it is as good as new. Just ignore the battle scars. This video is sponsored by Insta360, and I know, here's another YouTuber shilling out another camera, making you spend your money. But believe it or not, whenever I'm making these videos, I'm never thinking like, how do I sell you this camera? I always end these videos with my favorite as well as my least favorite things about these cameras. I also try to show you as much footage as possible in as many different environments as possible. Now, whenever I cut to a different camera like the Luna Ultra, I'll put an L on the top left corner, and any other camera will be an asterisk, but nothing in the corner means the shot you're looking at is shot on X6. To be honest, it's a lot more work than just going into my backyard for 10 minutes and being like, here's my review. But I feel like it's the best way for you to get a good, accurate representation of like what the footage would look like if you got it and started recording with it. And
I do appreciate that a lot about Mr. Potato Jet. He puts in a lot of work. Clearly he's like, man, every time we've been watching one of his recent videos when he's doing like putting a gear through the ringer, he's like traveling somewhere, he's going out into the desert, or he's going out doing whatever. I kind of appreciate that variety. Yeah, and he seems to be fairly straightforward and honest, I think. Or he hides it well, let's say. Fed says Leslie Nielsen and Ted Danson star in another segment in non-comedic roles. The film is full of people who would make it big later on. Ed Harris is also in the first segment. Interesting. Okay.
I won't really alter any of the images with color grading or anything like that. And if I do, I will make it very obvious that I'm doing so.
Okay, so one of the biggest downsides of shooting with a 360 camera is that you have to reframe afterwards, right? So this is Instaframe 2.0 right now, and it should give me a 4K shot tracking him and following him. But let's say I didn't like the composition, or it happens to lose him or whatever, then I still have the 8K backup. And when I go into the 8K backup, it saves the keyframes of the tracking. So I could go and just adjust certain things and customize
That's actually pretty cool. One thing I find really frustrating with with all these 360 cameras, it's like there's so much work you have to do behind the scenes to get the right keyframes and get the right thing you want to export. DJI Studio, I found it to be fairly basic from the little bit that I've been playing around with it, compared to, I think Insta has a bit more of a robust software platform, or like when you want to scrub through your footage and stuff. I think it's a little bit more advanced.
We did have this on the previous version as well, but there was a resolution loss when you record your 360 backup. But here we get to maintain the full 8K. The downside though is we don't get to shoot in 10-bit log when you're doing this. So right now I'm just shooting in standard color. Do you remember the pain of reframing footage?
Yes. That's why I stopped using it.
So this is already reframed. This is saved like a regular action cam file.
Yeah, it looks good.
So you don't have to
it's doing really good.
Yeah, you don't have to do any work afterwards. You could just post this clip right away.
Even going far away, it still tracked me really well. It's not, I've been looking for something like that.
The downside is you can't shoot in 10-bit log. You have to shoot in the standard picture profile. I assume it's because it has to like double process 2 videos at once. Anyways, this is my content creation bag, but it's not always practical to bring with me, so I'm trying to make a little man purse kit.
It's not a man purse, it's called a satchel. Indiana Jones wears one.
Inside here is my...
Fed says, isn't DJI also releasing a new 360 camera soon? I have no idea. I'm out of the know. But I have already, in my mind, I've already committed, unless there's some drastic, like, I don't know, they really shit the bed and, Insta just blows them out of the water. I'm probably committing myself to DJI. And the reason at the time, not too long ago, it was because they had all these 10-bit quality to the gear that I needed for my recent trips to Uganda and Tanzania. And the quality has been always really nice. I also really like Insta though, so don't get me wrong. I've enjoyed using their product. They were the first ones I used when it comes to the go-to, that kind of thing you can clip onto a hat or a necklace, and that was fantastic. However, it was just a bit frustrating that you didn't have a lot of color grading options. So it was a bit restricted in terms of like the nice resolution you can work with. So with DJI, it was great that they, had that built in. So
Insta360 Luna, as well as these microphones, and then I throw in this X6 in afterwards. So my hope is that I can leave this behind, and for the rest of the video, basically just use the gear that's in here, and hopefully by the end of this video, I'll feel pretty confident making this whole video with just this little bag.
That was a really cool idea that he did that. That was pretty damn good. I wonder if it auto-tracked or if he had to do it manually. But it was nice that it, see, he's also creative with his little review videos.
So that'd be if we could travel more without me bringing all the camera gear around.
Okay, that shot was kind of cool, right? Where I just set this down on the trunk.
He's explaining it. Man, he's like reading my thoughts. Let's
And then
hear.
walk around. It's Oscar worthy. I know.
The question is, do you think it was actually tracking? I guess he's breaking this down because he's saying, no, I actually just manually... Actually, I'm curious. My guess is that... My guess is that it must have done some auto tracking. And that was what he wanted to... I don't know. I guess let's see.
But this shot is actually a perfect example of why I then walk around. It's Oscar worthy. I know. But this shot is actually a perfect example of why I love 10-bit log. Okay, so check it out. This is the untouched iLog footage right here. Why does it look so flat? Well, that's because we have to convert it over to Rec 709, and basically there's a lot on the website, and you basically just slap it on, and oh, look at that. But wait a second, all this is so blown out. Why is it overexposed? Well, if we look at the 360 image, a majority of this shot is actually much darker. We have a lot of dark fabric, so it kind of has to auto expose and take all this into account, and then kind of gives us an average, right? Now, of course, I could have manually taken this camera and adjusted the exposure if I really cared that much about this shot, but good thing we shot in 10-bit log. So let me go ahead and do a little bit of tweaking here with my
he uses DaVinci.
Oh, look at
Nice.
that. We got a little bit of sky back. I might just kind of drop the mids a little bit. We might even be able to just like lift the shadows a little bit. I mean, you could get really crazy, but generally speaking, when I do simple color grading, I literally just slide these three things around because I don't want to do too much creative color grading. All the footage I show you, I want to show you just like what the camera...
I really like, yeah, every time I watch a Potato Jet video, I think I just like him as a person more and more because he feels, you know, he's sharing the process. He also doesn't seem like he does crazy stuff. Like the way he was grading his footage, he's like showing, I don't do anything fancy, which is true. It seems like he's got bigger fish to fry or things to focus on. I'm just curious, did he do auto tracking or was that manually he did it? Fed says, I think I heard DJI is also adding replaceable lenses for their new one, like this new Insta. Well, I mean, even for my Osmo 360, I did crack the glass on my Osmo Nano, right? Literally on that first trip for the CNN project, I just like threw it on the ground, like straight up. Obviously not intentionally, but so it got a cracked glass. But thankfully, it held up. It held up for the rest of the trip. And then when I got back to Germany, I bought one of those what do you call it? Like the protective glass, and I just slapped it on top of the broken glass. It worked out just fine. So everything's still touch based. There's nothing falling off at the seams, but Jesus. But then for my Osmo 360, when I'm in the jungle, I definitely use the protective. There's like a thing that you can clip over your lens so that it doesn't get scratched. However, I did get that scratched in the jungle, and I didn't have backups. So once that happens, then you're like exposing the actual lens itself. And yeah. Anyways, it is a bit of a hassle. I remember my Insta 360, I did get it scratched, and I had to ship it to Insta to get it fixed a few years back. Should have went with a low LOFIC sensor, says Fed. Like the one in the 4P could have recovered 3 to 4 stops more. Okay.
It gives you...
Oh yeah, this is like a new Sony sensor.
You know, but basically being able to bring that down is dynamic range, yes, but also being able to store that dynamic range is where the iLog comes in. And the fact that I can bring it down and all this isn't giving me all kinds of weird artifacts and banding and lines coming across because there wasn't enough color depth in there, they all work together. And a lot of times when I...
Quick pause again, just in case you're curious, what is it that I'm doing on my screen? Well, if I remember to show my screen. So I forget the name of this particular bird, but they did have a number of these birds with, I love seeing these birds with a super long tail. There's like always those iconic shots of these types of birds where if you can get them as a silhouette against the sun, or when they're perfectly, it's almost like a crucifix, right? When you get them perfectly perpendicular to the ground, essentially. There's like certain shots like that, which are like, damn, that's fire. Here, you know, the circumstances weren't as such, but there was some moments where we paused because this one was chasing after a female, like it was like trying to mate with the female. So it's courting the bird. And so we got to kind of sit there and watch and try our best to track it. So I did end up getting some 120 frames per second footage of this bird. A lot of it was in focus. So we got some nice moments of this particular bird in flight. And then these were just some of the photos I was able to capture. Some of them you can see I've already gone and edited, and I've cropped in quite a bit. So here's where, again, my fear of shooting with the ZR with a 24 megapixel camera compared to if I had just been here with my Z9 with the 40 plus megapixel. With the 40 plus, like, I'd be super excited. I was excited, but like I would know that if I was shooting this moment, when I punch in, it would just be super sharp. You know, assuming I get the focus locked in, then I don't have to worry about the rest. I know I'm going to get this very, very clean image I can work with. With the 24 megapixel, it's like even if I lock the focus on, the moment I start punching in, you do kind of lose a bit of that sharpness, I guess. But it was manageable, if that makes sense. Like, regardless, I did end up getting to punch in. I don't know. Yeah, so you can see here how much I punched in, right? So I punched in quite a bit beyond the 100% of like what the pixels allowed for me to show. But even then, it's still fairly sharp, you know? It's only if you start zooming in more that it's like, okay, what the hell are we looking at? But this is definitely good enough. So there's one thing that's interesting about doing this exercise is also making me realize how much I should let go of always feeling like I need to have the highest megapixel camera and so on. It's like, sometimes it's okay. It's really just a mindful thing. Fed says the 20mm wide angle camera on the Osmo Pocket 4P has a low fic sensor. Gotcha. I think I do need to purchase this new Osmo Pocket for my upcoming one. Seems like it's an excellent camera. I have my Osmo Pocket 3 for what it's worth, but yeah, maybe it's worth investing in for the upcoming live stream in the wild. New tech that collects the extra light when the pixels clip, so you get about 4 stops more highlight. It's wild. Ooh, okay. Well, what are we? Mid-August, September, October. So I still got about 2.5 months. I do need to do a bit of shopping in the next few days. And yeah, start preparing a bit further for November when I'm going to be doing that live stream. But whew, yeah. I'm getting nervous just thinking about it. There's so many steps remaining. Actually, that reminds me. Give me a second. All right, let me play this.
Say, oh, I really want 10-bit iLog and all that stuff. I think some people tend to assume that I want to do heavy grading with it, but in reality, most of the time, I want a little bit of that headroom, that little leeway, that if it's off a little bit, like I'm not too worried about it. By the way, I'm recording 2 different microphones into this Luna. So one is just the microphone just by itself. The other one is in my pocket, but it has this USB adapter that basically plugs into whatever lav mic you want. So check out the split screen footage where I shot in iLog here on the left, and all I did was apply that LUT on here. And then on the right, this is shot on standard. And then all of a sudden, I'm in the sun. Oh, no thanks. Processed. Here, on the other hand, blown out, but let's see. Let me just drop the mids a little bit and drop down the highlights a little bit. See, look at that. That looks a lot more natural to me. Again, this is all personal preference. This is why I love to just show you as much footage as I can so that you can make up your own mind on what your preferences are. Now, of course, I still can do some correction with the 8-bit image that is not in log, but look how quickly that flatlines. Everything beyond this line basically gone. Of course, if I do this with a log, look at that. I have all this color information and depth still here. Another thing to keep in mind is when you go from 8-bit color to 10-bit color, it sounds like, oh, like what, 20% more colors? Oh, big deal. Here's the actual numbers. 16.7 million colors. 10-bit is 1.07 billion, 66.8 times more colors. So it is a huge jump. It's just the naming of it makes it sound like, oh, it's just a little bit more bits. And of course, there's cameras that go 12, 14, and 16-bit, but from my experiences, going from 8-bit to 10-bit is the gap that I definitely notice, especially if I'm shooting in log.
I gotta say, I really like using 360 cameras. It's like a multi-cam setup. I can park this thing in the middle and get multiple angles out of this thing.
Feel like Mario, like stop motion animation.
All right, let's see what comments we have.
Joy's Hobby Time says, highest frame rate?
Full resolution, we have 50 frames per second, but you can drop the resolution down and get more frame rate up to 100 frames per second. And then you could also do 4K 120 if you want to just use it like a regular action camera on flat video mode. But honestly, 8K 50 has been really nice because we don't have to do a resolution drop and we can still get some slow motion. But shout out to Kerry for hanging off the back of the bike with that long stick waving
the Pocket 3 is limited by the D-Log D-Log-M. Yeah, so it's not like a full log, right? The D-Log-M for dynamic range, the new 4P shoots in the new D-Log, and also D-Log-2 for that extra highlight info, 16 stops and signal to noise ratio. That's Alexa 35 numbers. Well, damn, dude. Okay, I just wanted to pause on this image. I want to see if I have on hand the actual behind the scenes of this moment. Let's see here.
They go inside there.
So basically, this was the first day, or I was just setting up for the first day. So the guides were all arriving, and so I was doing some setup here. So basically, the camp had rented a huge amount of lenses, cameras, memory cards. It was a whole ordeal. There's some headaches involved with this, but basically I had to just double check all the gear, arrange them, double check what we've got, see what we can work with. Let me just see through. Okay, so then it's the next day. Oh my god, the food was so great, and the portion sizes were delectable, man. Like, we're talking, I love rice, and almost every, not every night, but for the most part, every night, they would give us like extra scoopings of rice, like extra servings, and it was up to us to finish it, and if we didn't, then they wouldn't give us as much the next day. So it almost became like a challenge and a task. But I would eat so much rice and then all kinds of like different meat options. Yeah, I had a good time eating. Okay, so then it's the next day. Let's see.
Be like ranging from 800.
It could make it. You'll focus on other people.
Yes.
Stop.
It's hard to see. Are you looking? Something I always sound. Yeah. So I did a lot of talking in these videos. Basically, again, it was kind of fun for me, but basically my job was being a photography instructor. So I was in one Jeep. Lorenzo, who's like he's like the head guide. He was in the other Jeep. And so between the two of us, we keep swapping between Jeeps so that I can make sure I have as much equal time with everyone as possible. But then while I'm in this Jeep, my job was to then like train them. So throughout the drives, anytime there's like a pause or nothing's happening, I would try to answer questions. I would share a bit of knowledge, tell them like, here's what I look for, here's how to shoot the scene, here's what to do, here's what, let's say, again, keep in mind the context of this is, one, training all the guides on photography, but it's not just for fun. The reason we're training them is because hopefully as they understand what it means to be in the mind of a photographer, they'll have a better understanding of being in the shoes of the actual clients who are in the Jeeps, right? Trying to photograph the wild. So the more they can understand the photographer's language, the more they can understand what a photographer's pain points are, what they get frustrated by, anything like that. The hope is that you as a guide will be able to do a better job of meeting the needs and, serving the clients better. So anyways, so I'm kind of sharing as much of that knowledge, like, hey, here's things that I don't like. If you are the guide and you make this mistake, if you do this instead of that, these are things that can frustrate your guest and things to avoid. Fed says, it beats all the full frame cameras on Cine D's list of tested cameras. It's number 2 now after Alexa 35. Damn. Image quality, of course, is not as good, but it's very impressive. I do like higher, I like what you're saying there. So I think it's more reason I need to get it.
Yeah. Pride of Lions.
Yeah.
And some of them are playing, and other are doing like other stuff.
Yeah.
So some of them will take videos without letting you know.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you find you were reminding other, or you were speaking about the behavior there.
Yeah.
Then you get into the audio, like
into
the video. This that. I think it's if you remind them earlier to let you know Like just say
video.
I'm taking video,
Yeah.
or just say video, and then we be quiet for everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, and even let's say if you think someone's taking video and.
Anyways, yeah, I was curious what the context of that moment was. So anyways, it was really fun. I really enjoyed this, and I hope the guides found some value in me sharing my knowledge. Fed says the very high dynamic range means you can push contrast really hard even in challenging scenes, so you can still retrieve clouds, etc. without clipping. Yeah, exactly. I think that's really good. Okay, so that's the hornbills.
For something like this.
Oh, I think we did have a really cool moment when it took off. Hold on. Let's see. Was it that one?
Okay. I think we can go. Yeah. Let's try a different.
Ah, there it was. This is a nice moment. I'm curious. Yeah, I'll definitely be playing this in the
Animals
actual
looking.
video.
So, yeah, like this, right? This can become a moment.
So this is a teaching moment I was sharing with them. You know, just like, listen, some of the things I was sharing is probably super, super basic. But I think I was explaining to them like, okay, as a guide, sometimes you'll see these birds and they're all just kind of chilling, not doing anything. But then sometimes it's nice to remind the photographers to get ready when you turn on the vehicle. Because like, you know, these are all, you know, gas vehicles. And so once you flip the ignition on, it makes that rumbling sound. And sometimes that noise can be enough to disturb the animals to take off, go in flight. Or as you now continue driving forward, it might make the animals fly away. So then in those particular moments, you should tell your guests to get prepared just in case the bird decides to fly away, which is nice because it actually ended up happening here. Let's see. Where was it?
So, yeah, like this, right? This can become a moment. Perfect, perfect. So keep that in mind as the driver.
Yeah. It's so weird hearing me talk as if I know what I'm talking about. But yeah, it's fun drives throughout.
Generally speaking, they want,
I wanted to
depending
see
on how many drivers. Yeah.
Oh, this is, I think, the moment. Okay, so here's the behind the scenes. This is that, I forget the name of that bird. I need to double check these names later. So we had stopped here for a number of minutes to try to film that bird with the long tail. So you can kind of see it here. Let's see. So you can kind of see it on my screen here. And for me, I found that usually I just did I use a sandbag this day? I don't think I brought my sandbag on this trip actually. So I just ended up using some of these blankets as my sandbag. But I tend to find that works quite well. The issue is the moment I use like a gimbal, even if it's a small type gimbal head, it could work. It just depends on the situation where sometimes the setup time takes too long. Or if you want to start hand holding, you're kind of fixed. There it goes. So it took off here. So I'm looking around, I'm trying to find it, trying to lock in the focus here. Man, this is so tough, by the way, because it's a freaking tiny dot. You can see, you can barely see it through the Osmo Nano. And so shooting with this 400, you've got a tight little window that you're trying to find the bird and hunt for it. And then once it's in flight, you know, best of luck to you. But thankfully, I did get to grab a few moments where the bird was in focus and in the frame. So this day I was a bit luckier than a lot of times when it comes to bird photography and stuff. And so, like I said, I ended up filming this at 120 frames per second. So we've got some clean slow motion shots of this. And eventually I took the photo, and that photo is like from these things here. So anyways, okay. Point is taken. Let's keep watching.
Those are some pretty cool shots.
It was so much fun. Yeah.
I married the right woman.
Oh, he's married. I didn't realize
How
that.
about underwater performance?
It is waterproof, but in order to use the footage underwater, because the lenses are curved, you need to put in an underwater housing. We haven't used it on this X6 yet, but we have used it on the X5 on a video we shot with Roger Horrocks, who is the cinematographer for the Octopus teacher. So that's a video that I'm excited to put out. I just have to find a little bit of time to edit it, but should be a good episode. So keep an eye out for that.
Maxi.film says, most creative place to mount the 360 on an ADV.
I have yet to mount it on the Tenere, but I did mount it all over Johnny's bike. This should have enough clearance for the suspension to move, yeah? But this is the mount that it's like, oh yeah, for a motorcyclist, like this is the mount. Oh! The 2 points of contact in the carbon fiber stick is crucial. Yeah, and I just make sure like the stitch line isn't going straight through your head and everything. So
Yeah.
as long as like this is the primary half. Oh, oh! Look at this. Look at this.
Oh, we did touch.
Got a nice little scrape right here. This is exactly why I will not get a 360 camera now that does not have replaceable lenses, because now I'd be like stressing out like, oh no.
Yeah.
Can you just compress the forks? Yeah, that should be fine. The shots where they're kind of protruding out is like the coolest shots, but then it's also sketchy to ride with it. Like sometimes it's just
Well,
like,
in traffic here it
yeah.
won't be, but
you try to split traffic, you're just gonna snap it right off. I feel like one of the things I want to try to pitch into 360 is like, let's try to make a stick that you press a button and it auto extends and then starts recording.
that would be sick.
And then you push another button, it goes,
Yeah.
and then cuts the camera. I mean, that'd be cool, right? Think about it, it's a 360. I forgot to hit record on his camera, so good thing I can.
That would be cool, but I would, at that point, I don't know if I would trust the stick to be sturdy enough. Fact is, I might get one if they get their ass in gear and make more. It's not available anymore over here right now. Could be fun putting it on a selfie stick and shoot crane-like shots. The DJI Pocket 4, I mean. Yeah, for sure. I've said this before, but the Pockets are, the Pocket 3, when I started shooting with that, my God, it was a game changer for me as someone who like really did not enjoy shooting with like a GoPro. I think I just had no excitement ever with any GoPros that I had. I think I've had 2 or 3 in my life. It's just always like, it felt so boring. It felt so scene specific. And it felt a bit also just like it just wasn't working the way I wanted to at times. With the Osmo Pocket 3, it was like game changing. It was like, oh, I could use this everywhere. I had the ability to do these selfie shots. I can use it to track when I'm just filming walking forward. I could turn it on super quickly. I can capture moments. And like, it was just like super stabilized. It had the ability to kind of look in all directions and I can control it. I just loved it, man. So I can only imagine the Pocket 4 should be that plus more, right? Maybe 4 times better.
You can record from the phone.
And apparently there's an internal mic that's optimized for engine sounds, so time for some nice soothing bike ASMR.
I think like the coolest shot is gonna be like right here. Check this out. So this is the frame. So it's like, should we be tucked in? What looks cool at this? And we're like out.
Yeah, that looks good.
That'd be sick. Yeah, I could do that. I could do that. And then comparing this to the previous generation, the X5, which did not have any log. Look how much more detail we have in the sand, as well as the pavement right here. We maintain that detail in the X6 log, as well as a nice smooth highlight. But on the X5, you can see it's barely holding on to the shadows, as well as the highlights look like they're just on the verge of clipping. Oh yeah, like check out how much better it preserves the sunset right here. Like very smooth, gradual color shift right here from the orange to the blue. Here it's like, blown out, and then a little bit of yellow, maybe a little orange, white, and then blue. And actually, this is a Sony sensor that Insta360 and Sony worked together on for this camera. If you ask me, that's a very smart move for Insta360 because Sony's, they know how to make really powerful sensors. Sometimes they just make their cameras kind of complicated to use, and Insta360 knows how to take that technology and make it very...
I wonder if Sony would buy Insta. That will be an interesting marriage, right? Side note here, so basically, you know, it's pretty self-explanatory, but you're seeing some of the photos here where we took a pause for lunch. And then during that break, basically, everything was always a teaching moment. So yes, they grabbed their food. And then after they grabbed the food, it was like, okay, let's go practice a bit. So there was a bunch of birds in this location. So I took this time to kind of get them to practice a little bit of like, how do you shoot eye level, the importance of like the angle of your capture. So it's like, okay, there was a bird on a table over there, or maybe it's on the ground. So now try taking those shots where you go as low as possible. How do you get it? And see the difference between if you shoot at a high angle and what is sharp in your image versus what looks nice and blurry. How do you get that separation of the subject from the background? Also, how does the size of the bird change in terms of like when you're shooting at a high level versus low angle? So yeah, this is really fun. And so it's always fun when I get to see people practicing as well. And then we had Lorenzo here. So this is Lorenzo, the main guy, the head guide. And so, you know, at times they were all good sports about it, but basically just having him chill here and everyone can practice trying to capture shots. So he pretended to be the bird essentially, or the wildlife, and then they would try shooting low angles and fun stuff. Really cool guy. Everyone was super chill here, by the way. You could spend like, I can see, you know, you have to be able to have a good personality to be a guide for sure, right? Because your job is very much to be accommodating for guests from all around the world. And so it's very apparent. All of these guys, you can hang out with them for days and just be like having the blast. The Pocket 3 is great too. The main reason I didn't get it was I wanted it less wide. And now they added the extra camera, so you can do 60 to 120 as well. It's just as stable as the wide. Yeah, man, it's, yeah, I got to add it to my gear. Obviously, for my current purposes, my thought process was that I would use it for, let's say for this upcoming live stream. It's not like I have some tie-up with Nikon right now. They're not like supporting me for this pilot, nor would I expect them to, because it's like, hey, look, I just want to see if it can work. So for this one, it's just really for me to test whatever cameras I want to shoot with. So I think as a pilot, it might make sense to simplify some of the gear. So I'm currently leaning towards, instead of the original concept where I was going to rig up 2 mirrorless cameras to the Jeep, one facing forward, one facing interior, and then my camera, the ZR, for the wildlife moments. I'm thinking it might be better to hook up an Osmo Pocket, for example, on some gimbal solution that could work as either just the interior, or maybe it could work to do both exterior and interior shots just by, you know, flipping it over. And then, yeah, so then it would simplify a lot of things for me. So things that I'm trying to keep in mind and see if it's worth the investment. You can do up to 240 millimeter also, but the quality is not really usable since you're shooting under 4K, and then the camera upscales. Yeah. So, and then when it comes to the quality as well, that's something to think about. So like even for this live stream, technically, yeah, I could just use my Osmo Pocket 3, but I am curious if it's a noticeable difference if I were to run a live stream with a Osmo Pocket 4 with the better everything compared to an Osmo Pocket 3. Would the quality that you would see on screen look noticeably better? Because at the end of the day, I also have to keep in mind, obviously, that I'm probably not shooting I'm shooting in a way that's getting downscaled into most likely a 1080p live stream, right? Whatever the output is. So then I'm curious, like, does it even matter if I'm shooting with like the best cameras, if at some point there is like a limitation? We're going to hit a ceiling at some point where no matter how good quality, you're not going to get like a log, you know, color graded log file style, you know, through the live stream. I don't know though. Maybe you could, or, you know, so those are things I'm trying to figure out right now. This is a cool shot, very corporate-esque, or like you can put this on a website type thing. So Nikon could put it as well as Asilia, but yeah, good stuff. Fed says it's wild being able to zoom into 240 millimeters, have it stable in your hands, and it weighs 230 grams. Yeah, 240 is kind of crazy for a tiny little sensor. You can use that extra 120 240 reach as binoculars when out filming. Yeah, I don't know. It is powerful. So then the question is, like, it might just make sense to set it up. Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of things I need to kind of brainstorm here. I brainstormed a bit with Cyronius the other day. I just need to talk to Swiss Army now. I think I probably just should pull the trigger and purchase some extra gear, including the Starlink, I just want to chat with Swiss first on that. Quick thing, by the way, guys, it is now almost 10 p.m. So one thing I mentioned is that I've currently scheduled my latest YouTube video to be released at 10 p.m. So my thought was I would end the stream prior to then. So right now it is 9:36 p.m. So I'm thinking I might end up ending the stream in a few minutes so that I can prepare a few things for that YouTube video. I need to make a post. I have to do all the typical stuff once I release the video. I hope you guys check it out, though. It's not that long. It's literally like 2 minutes long. So it's a lot of work for 2 minutes. It's kind of crazy. But it's something I'm putting together to promote Nikon, specifically Nikon lenses. So I'm a big fan of Nikon, of course, as you guys know. And I've been, especially over the past few years, I've been changing up a little bit on what types of lenses do I take with me when I'm traveling. Especially as I've also been getting more into film. So now as I'm going from photographer to hybrid shooter and to now leaning more on the video side, there has been this evolution of my thinking or understanding of what lenses work for what environment. So as part of that, I decided I wanted to make a few videos about the types of lenses that I'm shooting with these days. The 85mm, that's the video that will be released at 10 p.m. in about 20 minutes. That one covers my opinion of how the 85 has changed how I think about wildlife photography and how to capture wildlife photography, and why I think an 85 should be in every wildlife photographer's bag, in my opinion. I hope you guys enjoy. It's got a number of shots in there that we edited on the live streams. So then separately, I'm doing another one on the 35mm lens. And this one was more particular for videography. So the thing I wanted to share was, as I've become more invested in videography, I'm realizing how much more important it is to tell a story, right? With an image, you can get away with just having a striking image and like whatever. But with a video, you're oftentimes having to find a through line or something to keep someone invested from the first frame all the way to the end. And so understanding what makes a compelling story is important. And that's where lenses can make a big difference. And for me, the 35, I started to realize, is like the sweet spot for that storytelling so far for me. Because when you go too wide, if you're shooting with the 20mm, you again lose that ability to separate the subject from the background. It's like there's too much background and the subject gets lost in it. If you go too tight, if you're shooting with like a long lens, like an 85 or higher, then the problem is you're too cropped in where you don't necessarily get enough of the environment, which plays as important of a role to tell a story, because you need to know where the subject is in the world. And where with the 35, and so the examples I'm using is from my short film that I made in the island, the chimpanzee island. The 35 is what I use to get those amazing shots of the chimp mother and the baby walking in the forest. So I'll be playing different moments from that short film while I'm voicing over my thoughts on the 35. And then the third one I'm working on right now is on the 135mm plana lens, the f1.8. That one I still haven't figured out. I'm still working on the script to lock it in. I just know I have a number of really nice photos that I took from a few different trips. So I figured this could be a nice way to also tell a story from a specific prime lens. So anyways, look forward to that, guys. Like I said, 20 minutes from now, I will be releasing that video. So those of you who's checking this out, I hope you do check it out later. And by later, I mean check it out in 20 minutes. I think this is probably where I will end the stream. So then, like I said, I can prepare a little bit for that and also have my late night dinner. If you haven't checked out my episode 2 of my travel series, that is also available on my YouTube channel. I hope you guys watch that. It's a doozy. And I've been releasing some YouTube shorts as well as some Instagram reels. So there's a bunch of new content that I'm working on. I mentioned before, I'm creating a new series of like Instagram reels that are more, it's about my time lapse. It's from my edits that I've been doing across my live streams. So every time you see me edit one of these photos, I've been recording my screen in a vertical format so that I can turn it into some kind of an Instagram reel or YouTube short. So I'm calling it my National Geographic series because the gimmick is that each one, I'm doing one of those day series, like it's like day one of trying to get Nat Geo's attention basically. So I'll just keep doing this because I can do this consistently. I've got at this point we've got dozens and dozens of photos that I've edited on these streams. So then I'll start to show the entirety of here's how I shot the moment, here's how I edited from my home studio in a time lapse, and then here's the reveal, like the final image before and after. So anyways, I just released the first one, I think I did. I think I got to post it on Instagram. So yeah, you can never be bored. I got so much content coming out on all the social medias, so I hope you guys are entertained. This is what you get when you watch a 10,000 sub YouTuber, okay? I'm switching gears now. I'm trying to be a bit more serious, but yeah, jokes aside, I do appreciate you guys. Thank you very much. I will be back tomorrow for a longer stream. Like I said today, I just want to pump out this video and stuff, so. Fed says later, thanks, great watch. Thank you, Fed. I appreciate your presence. Oh, sorry, Paul says thanks, great watch. I appreciate both you guys. Thank you, everyone who's watching this, and yeah,